Hello teachers and welcome to your first PLC meeting of 2012-2013. I know you're so excited you can hardly contain yourself. Well, in your binder you will find a paper that says what to do during PLC meeting. You're off the hook on two of these because it's your first PLC meeting of the year, but I'll review all of them. The first step of PLC meeting, as it says here, is to review the results of the previous common formative assessment by the student and by the standard. Fortunately, this is your first PLC meeting, so there are no previous common formative assessments to review results of. The second one says, decide which students need intervention and which students need enrichment, and determine what those interventions and enrichments will be. Address the questions, what will we do if they don't learn? And what will we do if they already know it? Again, we haven't given a common formative assessment, so we don't need to address or categorize students that way right now. The third one we will do. Pick new target standards. This is for you and your team. Now, I have given you a spreadsheet very similar to last year's. It does look a little different. Here it is, but you'll notice that some things have been changed slightly. For example, every concept row has 2 lines of cells next to it, and I also have not included for you the actual Common Core on your spreadsheet. I did that on purpose. On our new conceptual foundation maps on our website, you can actually get the I can statements on the living documents that are created by the district specialist, and I didn't want to do copy and paste and make it a stagnant document when they're constantly going to be updating online. However, from our backstage section, it's right here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. On this side it says Granite LA maps, language arts maps, and Granite math maps. Now, when we did this last year, each team got to choose which concept to target, and each grade actually chose math. We did that to follow the guidelines of the Learning by Doing book. It said the first time through, pick one concept to target. Then, each year after, expand and add on another concept. This is our second year. I'd like to see each team developing a system to not only do math, but to bring on language arts as well. Discuss that in your teams of how that might look. Now, I'm going to click on the language arts maps to kind of give a model of that. If I come in here, it gets a little bit busy, but if I scroll down here, I can see curriculum maps. Today, I'm pretending I'm a 3rd grader. I come into the 3rd grade maps. I'm right at the beginning of the year, so I'm going to go to Unit 1. Ooh, things are popping up. Lesson 1. It will open up a document that looks like this. This is the map for Unit 1, Lesson 1 of the 3rd grade Language Arts. I'm not going to zoom in yet because a lot of this is stuff that I don't need to read to you right now. Let's scroll down and pick one of the concepts in the content objectives. Here's language. On here it says in our favorite format of I can statements, I can explain a noun. I can take that very concept, if it's what our team is choosing to target, copy it, and I can hop right back over to my spreadsheet and paste it into the cell. There I now have, and I'll zoom in on this one, I now have for my first PLC, September 7th, the targeted concept of I can explain a noun. I'm going to do multiple concepts according to what my team and I decide. Let's just do 2 for today. If I jump back here, I might do the very next one. I can use correct capitalization, punctuation, and spelling when writing. I'm going to copy that, hop back to my spreadsheet, and paste it right there. I now have the 2 concepts that we're going to use for our example. The 4th step that we do in our PLC meeting says, create a common formative assessment together on the new target standards. In other words, address the question, how will we know our students have learned it? On the back of your log in your book, I even gave you a little template that you might use. Here's a template of a common formative assessment. Very basic, multiple choice, definition, a few short answers. You could use something like this as a team to decide how you are going to assess those target concepts you just picked. I picked I can explain a noun, and I can use correct capitalization, punctuation, and spelling when writing. Now, on your first PLC, you'll really not need to have anything else on your log except the concepts you're choosing to target. Oh, look at this. I've already forgotten my name and grade. Today I'm pretending to be in 3rd grade, and I am Mr. Howe. Now I've got that in. Also, you will on that very first page want to include the names of your students. So I'm going to go ahead and put the names in. I have a student named Tyler, handsome name. I have a student named Carol. I have a student named Johnny, Cindy, and Rodrigo. I put those names in for my class list. Fast forward 2 weeks from now when we have actually taught these target concepts and administered the common formative assessment, I would have some data to know, did my students learn it? Record that here. On a 5-question quiz, Tyler on the concept of I can explain a noun got a perfect 5. Way to go, Tyler. Carol got a 4. Johnny got a 1. Cindy got a 2. Rodrigo also got a 4. Now you're probably noticing right here that they're not color coding like they did on our last year model. That's because I am yet to have told the spreadsheet how many points were possible. As I said before, this was out of 5 points possible, and I just scrolled all the way to the right to do that. I put in the 5 points possible, and I scroll back to see what it looks like, and look at that! It's color-coded according to proficiency. Tyler has got it, Carol's got it, Rodrigo's got it, Johnny and Cindy don't. Well, with our tea time structure, we're going to provide Johnny and Cindy some intervention. And after a week of helping them, we'll give them another assessment to see, do they have it now? When they do the I can explain a noun concept and we grade it, we get to see, did they master it? After a week's worth of work, and that's what the second row of cells can be used for, Johnny went from a 1 all the way to a 4. Way to go, Johnny! Cindy went from a 2 all the way to a 5. I am so pleased with her. Again, they're not color-coded until you scroll to the right, tell the spreadsheet how many points were possible. Again, it was 5. And then you can scroll back and see, wow, both Johnny and Cindy went from not being proficient to proficient on that targeted concept. You might look at this and think, wow, are we going to need to write a common formative assessment for each of the concepts we're targeting? Well, not necessarily. You might want to write one common formative assessment and include in there various items that are tied to the different targets or the targeted concepts. For example, on a 10-question quiz, I might have 3 questions on can they explain a noun? And they're all nestled in there. The students don't even know which order they come in. I might have 4 that are on I can use correct capitalization, punctuation, and spelling when writing. With this sheet, you can then submit it to me via email or print it off with your beautiful color printer. In fact, I recommend you at least print it off on your color printer to put it in your own binder, and you can throw out the blank one that I've left in your binder. I've shown you how to do this on the computer. You do not have to do it on the computer. You are welcome to do it on paper and pencil, and I've already got the sheets in your policy binder. However, if you do it on the computer, you'll notice that each week it will automatically populate my students' names so I don't have to write them again every week. If I go to September 21st page, it's going to show that I have all of this blank, but the names I put in are still there. You'll also notice, and I know it's hard to see, the tabs at the bottom are how I go from week to week. There is one with the date of each of our official PLCs throughout the year, and we're starting with the September 7th. Now, that's a quick summary on what you're doing during your PLC time. Jumping back to our 4-step process. Each time we'll review the results of the previous common formative assessment. We'll decide which students need intervention and which students need enrichment. It's pretty easy with the spreadsheet because those in green need enrichment and those that are not in green need some help, interventions. We'll also pick new target standards, addressing that question of what do we want our students to learn. And finally, create the common formative assessment together as a team to determine have they mastered it.